Hi there YouTube, Joel from Jonesy's. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching. This is going to be an epic update on our Camaro Restomod build, so stick around for those details next. We left off our last video with completion of the paint, and we got the subframe bolted in, and as you can see, we have been hard at work. So the progression of this project after we got it painted, we started to go ahead and put all of the sheet metal on. Once we got all the sheet metal hung, the next critical step was to get this vinyl top installed. So let's go take a little voiceover trip, and I'll show you guys how we installed that vinyl top. So to install the vinyl top, you start by laying it out on the roof panel and centering everything up so that the seams, the left seam and the right seam, are even on the car. This is the actual adhesive that we use to secure the vinyl top to the roof panel. Most upholstery shops have it. And we just start in the middle, folding the vinyl top over to the passenger side and gluing down the center. And when we're gluing, we just put an even amount using a spray gun on the actual roof, the painted roof section. We work in about 8-inch sections. And we spray the roof, and we also tack and spray the vinyl top itself. There you can see it's going on that white kind of fuzzy material on the top. Then once that glue has tacked off, we pull forward and back. Here you can see Jim, my upholstery guy, pulling that top tight forward and back of the car while we then pull it to the outside. And you pull it forward and back for two reasons. Number one, so that it doesn't make the seam wavy, and so that you can pull out any wrinkles in both directions. So there he's pulling it forward, smoothing it out. And that stuff, while it's fresh, you can still kind of pull it up a little bit, but you don't want to work it too much. So once it tacks down, you just want to work it forward and back, and then once that gets finished and is all nice and smooth, we pull the masking paper over. This is very important. We have the whole car actually masked off because you don't want any of that yellow glue to get on your stuff. Now moving to the back window, there you can see in the center of the back window we have the vinyl laid out and secured in the middle, and then we position all of the trim screws, making sure that the vinyl goes all the way down to those trim screws. So after the vinyl top, that kind of unlocked all of the necessary stuff to put all of the window seals in, all the weather strip, all the trim, all the doors, all of that time-consuming, extremely tedious assembly work that has to go into this. So I guess, holy cow, there's so much to go over. Where do we start? So let's go ahead and start at the front. Again, you can see we got all of the sheet metal installed, the grille, the new Camaro emblem. We decided to go with some upgraded LED headlights. Those just kind of fit the black and green theme that we're going with, and they work really well. So again, you can tell that we took our time to get all of the sheet metal lined up and fit really well. We also did all of the emblems, just kept the stock emblems, continuing with our Restomod theme. The trim was restored, and we did the blackout on that lower rocker panel. So all that stuff fit really well. We did all of the mock-up on this car to begin with. And then let's transition over to engine compartment. So in the earlier videos, you guys know we kept the stock 2011 cooling package out of the donor vehicle Camaro SS. So it's got the integrated factory GM fans, and we just fabricated these upper mounts, added some nutserts, so that looks like it's meant to be there. We took this upper radiator hose, that's the factory Camaro SS upper radiator hose, and eliminated this piece right here. This is a hose that goes down to the cooler, and we just used a piece of tubing with a couple of Gates power grip shrink wrap style hose clamps so that we eliminate this T right there. So that all looks super clean. We have to make we have to build a custom air intake. Here you can kind of see we have it started to mock up, and then a nice K&N air filter will go right here. This will get cut short, and we will weld in the mass airflow sensor bung on that. So as you can tell, this stuff is really kind of coming together, and it's functional yet clean. So Vintage Air supplied us with the air conditioning AC bracketry, and that looks like all the hoses on this side of the engine really actually worked out pretty well. We were able to get all of them to exit out of that space below where the hood hinge goes. And so all of the hoses and lines come out there and go right directly into the AC compressor, as well as hopefully you can see right down here, we have molded 90-degree heater hoses that go up under the AC compressor, wrap around, and then go into the Vintage Air unit over there. So that all turned out to be about as clean as you're gonna get in terms of hose routing, because this whole section on this side starts to get to be a spaghetti factory with hoses and wires and things like that. So speaking of wires, here you can see this is our actual fuse block for the LS engine conversion. So this is the engine fuse block. I'll go over the details of the American Autowire chassis fuse block, which is mounted in the factory location here in a minute. But for this installation, all we did was we just fabricated, or I fabricated a little L bracket. I don't know that you can see it. It all kind of blends in there. You can kind of see it. I fabricated an L bracket that bolts that right to the inner fender well. And then we will build a cover. I'll 3D print a cover to cover that fuse block. And then in addition, we made a ECM mount that, again, all of this black stuff kind of just blends in, but you can see those mounting bolts, and then this bracket goes around, and then that mounts the ECM right there on the fender well. And we tried to get as much of this wiring to be as clean as we can, all wrapped in black conduit and loom, so that it just kind of disappears. These two relays, you have relay 1 and relay 2, those are for the cooling fan 1 and cooling fan 2 relays. So I'm going kind of quick on this just because we've got a lot to cover in this video, because we made so much progress. So coming over here on the driver's side, you can see we've got our steering linkage hooked up right there, just a single U-joint, straight shaft into another U-joint, into the rack and pinion. We went to the hydraulic shop and had a hydraulic hose fabricated for the pressure side of the power steering. That all worked out really well. We have a mechanical male-female 90 right there. Hopefully it'll focus right there, off of the bottom of the pump with an adapter. And then it's just a simple return line going down to the pump. As for the clutch, we went with a McLeod hydraulic clutch conversion. They supply you with this reservoir. So again, we just simply CNC plasma'd out a little mounting bracket, mounted it on this fender well up here. Might be able to see, yep, see there's the, right down in there is the McLeod clutch master cylinder. And that seems to work out pretty well. This bulkhead right here is the American Autowire supplied Classic Update series wiring harness. And I just love the American Autowire stuff for these types of swaps. It's hands down the best quality. The fit is good, and their instructions are just off the charts good. Their tech support is also really, really good. So huge thumbs up to American Autowire. We want to thank them for supplying us with these parts, and the quality is just great. So thank you, American Autowire. Onto the brakes. This is a Right Stuff brake master cylinder. They also supplied the disc and disc proportioning valve. And so out of that proportioning valve, the original Camaro had individual lines to the front brakes. So that's what that plug is. We have a single one, which comes here, then goes into this hose, which then goes down to that T and then feeds the front brakes. Well, this is what we have been waiting for. We finally received the rear differential. This is a Currie 9-inch with the Detroit Speed bracketry already welded on, and it is the correct width for use on the mini tubs. We did some math and we went with a 370 gear ratio and had Currie do the assembly on all the brakes as well as the powder coating on the housing. So that all looks really good. And the brakes match as well for the front. So next step is we're gonna make the Camaro a roller and get this differential installed. So that, I can't say the quality of Currie's differential is great. Everything bolted right in exactly like it was supposed to. The Detroit Speed stuff lined up perfectly. There you can see we've got the bolts for those upper links installed, poking through the floor. Everything installed just the way that it should on that rear differential. So if you guys are thinking about doing a build like this, I highly recommend using the Currie, using the Detroit Speed stuff. That stuff went together really, really well. So let's go inside and I'll show you guys kind of what we're working with here. We got the dash installed, we got the vintage air in, so let's go over those details next. Okay, we're gonna start with the instrument cluster. Instrument cluster is a Dakota Digital. It integrates into the OBD2 connector. There you can see the OBD2 connector that's plugged right directly into their control box. And it gets all the signals from the factory GM ECM. And so it gives us the retro appearance of factory style gauges, but with all of the check engine light, as well as trip and display and a speedometer that can be calibrated, and you get all the advantages of kind of a modern instrument cluster, but with the retro look. So over here, you can see right below the cigarette lighter, we mounted the toggle switch that actually will control the instrument cluster. So this switch right here is just a rocker switch, momentary rocker switch, and that is what you use for calibration of the Dakota Digital, as well as a lot of the other features. It also, this instrument cluster also has Bluetooth capability, so you can download their app and you can do a lot of calibration. You can do a lot of things with that. So really nice upgrade on the instrumentation for this build. But when you do stuff like that, you have to mount boxes and control modules. So down here, this is a center console car. We mounted the 2 Dakota Digital boxes that will be mounted under the center console. And so you can kind of see those are mounted right there, right directly in front of the Sickie shifter relocation for our TR6060 transmission. And then right up there, maybe you can see it, there's the other Dakota Digital box that offers the OBD2 integration. So all of those boxes will be wrapped and will be hidden underneath the center console. And then right here, there, and there, you can see we have some AC ducting. There is a AC vent that goes right underneath the center of the dash, right below the radio. Vintage Air supplies a really, really nice control panel. Again, sticking with the Restomod theme, we didn't want anything to stand out as being different than what would have been stock. So we didn't want a big billet control panel or anything like that. So we tried to make the choices on all these components and all these parts so that it maintained the stock theme of this build. And I think we nailed it. The Vintage Air stuff is really good. The Dakota Digital stuff is really good. And all of that fits with the theme that we're going with. Okay, let's take a look under the dash. So this is the factory location for the fuse block. And that, again, American Autowire. Their stuff is just really good. And like I said, their instructions are really nice and everything goes together. So we still have a little bit of tidying up to do under the dash. We need to figure out exactly where this OBD2 connector is going to be mounted under the dash. I mean, I'm assuming we'll probably, like, once we get a little bit closer, we'll probably mount it something like that so that you have access to it, so that if you ever have any trouble codes for the LS, you can scan it and things. It's easily accessible. One thing that I don't sacrifice on any of my builds is function always takes precedent over form. This is not a show car. It's not going to be a trailer queen. This car is going to be used, it's going to be driven, and in situations like that, you've got to be able to service it. You've got to be able to troubleshoot it. And so we're not going to hide all that stuff behind paneling so that it's a pain to service and it's a pain to troubleshoot. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on car building, at least my philosophy. So some of the really, really time consuming stuff on this build is just getting all this weather stripping, all these doors put together. Here you can see the little blue dots. Kind of our rule here at the shop is when you put a bolt in for the final time, you mark it, you put a blue dot on it, you put an orange dot. The chassis stuff, we have a lot of orange. We've moved over to the blue for body paint related things. It's just kind of whatever paint pen we have handy at the time. And so that means that, you know, if you see that blue dot, it was tightened up and it was confirmed that it was tight. So a lot of time went into getting these doors. We put new glass in the doors. We also have a new glass for the back, so all new glass. And we went with clear for the glass, not the green tint. And the reason we went with clear is, I think what we're eventually going to do is that this stuff will get tinted into a dark tint so that it kind of blends in with the black vinyl top. So next stages of this build, it gets off the jack stands, gets moved down to the lift, and we work on all the underside. So I think that's gonna wrap up this video. Hopefully you guys liked it. I didn't do a lot of installation details on front sheet metal. That stuff is just so time consuming and so tedious, it would be pretty boring. I figured that you, my YouTube viewers, didn't want to hear about all the labor pains. They just wanted to see the baby. And so here it is. Here's the baby. Baby is not done yet, but it's getting a lot closer. And I look forward to starting it up for the first time, which will be in the next video. So if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, post your comments, and thanks for watching.